Hello and welcome. Today, we're exploring a fascinating question. How did humans figure out that babies come from a single sperm and a single egg? For most of human history, reproduction was a complete mystery, filled with myths and guesswork. Imagine a world where people believed that having more lovers made your child stronger. In some societies in the Amazon rainforest, people believed in partible paternity, the idea that a fetus was formed by semen from multiple men. A woman might seek out extra lovers during her pregnancy to give her child the best mix of qualities. After the baby was born, all the fathers would bring gifts, food, and protection. Similar ideas appear in ancient myths. The hero Heracles was born after his mother slept with both her husband and the god Zeus, and his twin brother had a different father. In the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, each of the 5 Pandava brothers had a different divine father because their king couldn't conceive. Without scientific knowledge, people tried to make sense of reproduction through these powerful stories. Even before written history, people noticed a simple pattern. Sex often came before pregnancy. Hunters saw that animals that mated produced young, and the same seemed true for humans. But the details were completely opaque. People created analogies to explain it, like the penis being a plow, the womb a field, and semen a seed. In ancient myths, the sexual union of the sky and earth was like rain fertilizing the soil. And some cultures even performed ritual sex during planting to help the earth's fertility. Some societies concluded that repeated sex from different men helped build the fetus. Anthropologists call this belief partible paternity, and it was common in places like South America. In these cultures, semen was thought to accumulate to form the child, and having multiple fathers was seen as a way to ensure the child had more food and protection. The ancient Hawaiian tradition of Po'olua and even myths like Heracles and the Pandavas reflect similar ideas. The Greek philosopher Aristotle had his own theory. He proposed that a man's seed could leave a lasting stamp on a woman so that later children might resemble previous lovers. This idea, called telegony, worried medieval royals and was even considered a scientific hypothesis until genetics disproved it much later. In the 5th century BCE, medical writers associated with Hippocrates proposed a 2-seed theory. They thought both men and women produced a seminal fluid containing minute particles from every part of the body. Mixing these 2 seeds created a new individual, and a child's traits depended on which parent's seed was dominant. Although they were wrong about the specific cells, they were right that both parents contribute to the child. Aristotle, however, had a different view. He believed semen was a purified form of blood that shaped the embryo, while the woman's menstrual blood provided the material. For him, the male seed contained the essential blueprint for the new individual, and the child's qualities depended on things like the warmth of the semen. He even considered strange ideas such as mares being impregnated by the wind. Later physicians, like Galen, tried to combine these 2 ideas, still using the metaphor of 2 seeds, but placing more emphasis on the male's vital heat. Across ancient cultures, myths about rain and agricultural fertility continued to reinforce the idea of a male sky fertilizing a female earth. The true agents of conception remained invisible until technology caught up. In the 17th century, a Dutch scientist named Antony van Leeuwenhoek built powerful microscopes. In 1677, his student observed tiny wiggling animalcules in human semen. Leeuwenhoek sent a letter to the Royal Society describing what we now know as sperm. These were the first semen analyses ever, but their significance wasn't clear. Some people even thought they were just parasites. After the discovery of sperm, scientists debated how embryos formed. Spermists believed each sperm head contained a tiny, preformed human called a homunculus. Ovists argued the homunculus was in the egg. This idea of pre-formation, that everything was already in miniature, was dominant for a century. The opposing view, called epigenesis, proposed that the embryo developed gradually from unorganized material. The mammalian ovum, or egg, remained elusive. It wasn't until 1827 that Carl Ernst von Baer finally identified the mammalian egg. This discovery resolved the debate. Females produce a distinct gamete, just like males. The final piece of the puzzle came in the 1870s. Studying transparent sea urchin eggs, a scientist named Oscar Hertwig watched a sperm enter the egg and fuse with its nucleus. He proved that only one sperm is needed, and once inside, the egg creates a membrane to prevent other sperm from entering. This established, once and for all, that fertilization is the fusion of one sperm and one egg. Today, thanks to modern genetics, we know that each gamete contributes half of a child's genetic information. The mixing of multiple men's semen cannot create a single baby. Very rare cases of twins with different fathers exist, but they are born from two separate eggs, not one. Even though science proved that conception requires a single sperm and egg, beliefs like partible paternity persisted for social reasons. First, insurance for mothers and children. In Amazonian societies, children with multiple fathers had more food and protection. Sharing the responsibility reduced the risk of a child being left unsupported if a father died. Second, alliance building. Having shared paternity could create strong alliances among men, like brothers or friends. And last but not the least, limited knowledge. Without microscopes or an understanding of DNA, there was no obvious reason to reject the idea that semen could accumulate or that previous partners could influence later children. Cultural stories simply filled the gaps in understanding. The journey to understanding human reproduction shows the incredible interplay between culture and science. Early humans connected sex with pregnancy, but surrounded it with myths of multiple fathers and divine intervention. Philosophers tried to rationalize it with ideas of seeds and forms, and some cultures institutionalized ideas like partible paternity because they served important social purposes. It wasn't until the invention of the microscope and the discovery of sperm and the egg that we finally learned the truth. One sperm and one egg fused to create a unique individual. Science ultimately exposed the limits of these folk theories and myths, but those stories still offer valuable insight into how different societies have understood sexuality, family, and responsibility throughout history.